How to find out whether your property development project is viable using a feasibility study. All developers at some point in their career will have wasted time, energy and money on a scheme that never added up financially in the first place, and we shouldn't have bothered even starting out with. It's all well and good finding a site and getting planning, but it must stack up and be profitable, otherwise it's time and money wasted. The feasibility study is made up of a number of interlinked elements. There are 6 in effect. Firstly, what can you get on the site? What can you get planning for? Secondly, what are the building costs in achieving it going to be? Thirdly, what are the Section 106 and affordable housing costs that you'll have to sign up going to be? Fourthly, what is the cost of the land? Fifthly, what are the GDVs, the gross development values of the finished development going to be? And finally, what are your financing costs, i.e. the cost of borrowing the money if you're going to do the development yourself, going to be? We'll have a quick look in a minute at a feasibility checklist. Traditionally, developers work on a third. By this I mean they'll pay a third of the final GDV for the land, a third for the build costs, and the final third will be in effect their profit. During boom periods, the cost of land can go up, believe it or not, to over 50% of GDV. Obviously land without planning can be bought for virtually nothing, but then you are risking it if you don't have planning that you might not get any planning at all. It's a gamble, which is where things like an option agreement come in very, very useful, because obviously your risk is a lot less. My own personal pricing means that I work on about 25% profit using my own finance, my own money. So that includes the cost of the money, i.e. what it could be earning in the bank or in the stock market. It's an opportunity cost in effect. My overheads, which are running a home office, my car, my fuel, those sort of things. The odd lunch as well. Long lunch with estate agents is always fun. And the profit before I then pay any tax to the tax man. I'll show you a case study which will go through all the costs of buying the land and the feasibility. Now, generally build costs can be predictable once you've gotten out of the ground, i.e. done the foundations. What I mean by that is that it's very difficult for anyone to know what lies beneath the ground. It could be an old disused sewer which hasn't come up on a local authority search or a water search or a sewerage search, because very often they don't, especially in land in old towns and cities. You could also find that you come up against gas mains, you come up against sand. I've had property development sites where we found there's a seam of sand going right underneath where we want to put the foundations, and therefore we've had to pile the foundations, which means in effect put very, very deep foundations down, which has cost a lot of money. It's added probably 15% onto the cost of the build, which was unseen when we started out, and that can be a little bit risky. But it's all part and parcel of what you come up against and what you have to be aware of. Conversions are even more difficult to cost though. The reason for this is until you start pulling down walls and stripping off the plaster, you don't exactly know what you're going to find. You might find a complete mess and find that actually you're going to end up demolishing a property or large parts of it and rebuilding it, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to sell on the units that you are producing. Done. Yeah, sorry.
Cool.